don't know whether they were given accommodation.
We needed to sleep on the floor, like airport floor.
And Australia's sitting third in the medal tally in Rio after our men's 4x100 metre freestyle relay team won bronze. Madison Keeney and Annabelle Smith also won bronze in the 3 metre synchronised diving. Catherine Skinner can't believe she won gold in the women's trap shooting.
It's been such a whirlwind ever since I shot that last target, and even though I've got it in my hand, it still feels really strange. I can't quite believe I've got it.
Catherine really suffered there from some misfiring clays, right? So this is how this works. They had to shoot 10 clay pigeons out of the air, right? And they kept misfiring, and the pigeon didn't take off, and so she had to stop, then reload her shotgun and have another crack. I'm a bit of an expert on shooting. If you don't know anything about it,
what I don't get, isn't it great if it doesn't take off? Can't you just walk over there and just go bang?
Yeah. No. One advantage is one of them broke.
We've spoken a lot about the golf and the tennis, and maybe that's the reason we shouldn't be there. And I think this is the reason why. Because these are the stories. I mean, I think Catherine had to stop training for about 6 months to go back to uni to finish a uni degree. Yeah. So there's all this stuff going on in these people's lives, and she gets
so many great stories.
So many great stories.
So I think you found though that the vibe's different this year, like with the kids, because I feel like my son. I remember when maybe it's just because it was the Sydney Olympics. We had like the mini Olympics at school, and we did the Olympics in art, we did the Olympics in geography, we did it everything. But I don't even think they're touching on it.
My boy's been asking.
When we start winning more gold medals.
We're third on the medal tally. This is as good as it's going to get. Unless we
go
ban
down
the athletics. This is as good as it's going to get. No, but I think you're right. Because it used to be dominant.
Yeah.
The minute, 6 months ahead of time, you'd be doing projects and stuff on it.
Yeah, well, maybe it'll... Once we start winning more gold from our expert over here,
we'll... shooting expert, question. When was the last time they used real pigeons in the Olympics?
About I think it was the 1860 Games in Paris.
Speaking of Olympic spirit, swimmer Mac Horton became a national hero yesterday, as we just mentioned, picking up Australia's first gold with a huge swim. But it was his sassy sledge on Chinese rival Sun Yang that has ignited a firestorm of controversy.
This is the moment the 20-year-old commerce student Mac Horton edged out defending Olympic champion Sun Yang to win the 400 metres freestyle. Well, that's basically how it went down anyway. But it was these post-race comments that have triggered a minor diplomatic incident. I don't know if it's a rivalry.
Drug. There was always going to be a run-in between these two big names of the sport, and even down to a little bit of splashing in the warm-up pool prior to the event.
He's tested positive for drugs, he's crashed his friend's car into a bus, he's had fights on the pool deck with other swimmers, and he apologises for none of it. He's a bit rock and roll.
So Mac's brutal sledge may be accurate, but it's also made him about 1.4 billion enemies. Since Sunday morning, he's copped death threats, being called a loser and a snake. His Wikipedia page has been hijacked, and some random English guy called Mark Horton's been copying it as well.
Mac's comments obviously have sparked a bit of controversy, but he really does care about the integrity of the sport, and I know that he's speaking out on behalf of a lot of athletes who are just a bit frustrated.
Pair will lock horns once again in the 1500 metres freestyle heats on Saturday, and Yang's already come out swinging, proclaiming himself the king of the event.
There's not a lot between the top final guys, and I guess a bit of sledging is sometimes used to make the difference, and this is the Olympics, so I'd be expecting a bit more fireworks for the rest of the week.
Well, Kieran Perkins really is the king of the 1500 metre freestyle. He joins us now. What do you think, Kieran? It was true, but was it too far?
Look, it's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, I think if it was me, I'd prefer to be concentrating on actually just getting on with the job of swimming and not opening the door to what was inevitably going to be a hell of a media storm, and certainly get the public involved as well. But you can't deny the facts. And
put on the ban list, then taken off again a year later. So is he like a dirty drug cheat, or just a drug cheat?
The challenge is that this subject is never just black and white. You know, it's difficult because, of course, every time the testers release their lists, we all know about them. They're published. Everybody knows what's on it and what's not. It's messy. It's difficult, and I think that's why, personally, no tolerance is the only way that sports can handle these things.
So you're saying dirty, dirty drug cheat?
Your words, but I won't argue.
Well, her words, your intent. But it was I think it's a drug that was then taken off the ban list. So, I mean, however you cut it, it's down the minor end of the spectrum. Is Mac picking an unusual target here? Is this really more about mind games and the theatre of sport than a principled stand?
I have no doubt whatsoever that Sung got under Mac's skin, and this was his response. There is obviously a bit of elbows out with these guys. It's not quite the Hunger Games yet, but based on some of the commentary that's been coming out from others in swimming who've had run-ins with him, you know, the self-proclaimed king of the 1500. It seems like there's plenty that want to knock him down a peg or two.
He's picked on the Chinese swimmer, Kieran, which means he's made a roughly
is that Max just turned his phone off and isn't paying attention to all of the carry-on that's happening. It can be impactful, but if we learn anything from London, I think staying off social media and just letting that happen outside the bubble of the Games is the way to go.
Kieran, can we chat about the greatest race in Olympic history, your 1,500 metres in Atlanta? You didn't need a Chinese rival, mate. Your rival was your own body. You were falling apart that week. Have you had a chance to reflect on that race leading into this Olympics?
You're very kind, Pete. Look, absolutely. I mean, to contemplate that it's been 20 years is a little bit mind-bending, to be honest. I'm not quite sure I feel that old, but at the same time, it certainly feels like another time and place for me.
Well, Kieran, thanks for providing such a magical moment and for the chat tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate your time.
Matt Horton's done a lot for people who wear glasses, hasn't he?
He has. It was amazing watching him do a gold medal interview after winning gold with glasses on.
I tweeted there's a lot of support. Specsavers or sponsor him. Seriously.
Did you know that he wears optical swim goggles?
No, but that makes sense.
So his goggles are actually optical, so he can actually see where he's going.
Hey,
otherwise, he'd be swimming across the lanes.
Let's be honest, all goggles fill up with water anyway, so...
Just quickly, he raises... It's a serious issue, though, that I reckon one of the things that is different about the Games, have you noticed when the Russian swimmers now, they're getting booed? Like, so swimmers in Olympic events getting booed in the stadium, I have never seen that before. So there is something definitely turning.
The Brazilian...
on Donald Trump. And once again, it turns out the science of Seinfeld was spot on.
You dipped the chip, you took a bite, and you dipped again.
You're watching The Project.
Welcome back.
Making news around the globe. In a show of strength, President Tayyip Erdogan has staged a huge pro-democracy rally in Istanbul. Turkey's major opposition parties also addressed more than 1 million Turks who'd gathered to denounce last month's failed military coup. The rally, the biggest in Turkey's political history, comes as the West steps up its criticism of Erdogan's widespread purges and detentions. Speculation Oscar Pistorius has tried to commit suicide in prison is being strongly denied by his family and South African authorities. The 29-year-old was treated in hospital at the weekend for wrist injuries after reportedly telling prison staff and doctors he'd fallen out of bed. Oscar's serving 6 years for murdering his girlfriend Reva Steenkamp. And there was carnage in the town of Great Falls, Virginia, after a woman accidentally reversed her Mercedes over a Ferrari 458 Speciale worth close to $300,000 US. Apparently, she'd been trying to parallel park outside a popular local cafe. The Ferrari's owner couldn't believe it.
Are you serious?
Because that doesn't happen like just doing a little quick parallel park. That's a real... That's ignoring the beep, 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 beep that's happening.
No, but the Ferrari's like a ramp.
Very low, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but still, you'd have to get some speed to get up over it.
I came out of a pub about a year ago and my four-wheel drive was on its roof in the middle of the road. A woman had come down the road, run into the back of it and written it off.
No.
Yeah. I didn't hear a thing. I was in there having lunch.
She obviously knew it was your car, though. So that sounds like that was a planned attack, to be honest.
I have as much sympathy for that as I do for the lady in the book.
Hey, staying in the States, there's a town called Shamokin, great name, in Pennsylvania, and it's I feel for them. It's been struck by an arsonist who burnt down the town's beloved Dunkin' Donuts. Let's see how the residents feel about it.
Many people who live in Shamokin are upset that Dunkin' Donuts is closed.
Now I have to rely on myself to go to maybe a Turkey Hill or something where I don't like their donuts. I rather the donuts at Dunkin' Donuts. And I'm kind of dealing with it, but I really miss Dunkin' Donuts.
She's dealing with it, guys. She's gonna be brave.
What do you reckon they serve at Turkey Hill?
Probably turkey donuts, I imagine. I don't know. But how's this bloke's life been affected by the tragedy?
I go there every day. I get a chicken bacon croissant, or I get some coffee, Powerade if I'm dehydrated. I sit there all the time. If I have any legal work that I need to do, I go there. I meet with my attorneys there.
What is going on?
How often is he having these legal meetings in Dunkin' Donuts?
What was the name of the town again?
Shamokin.
That's great.
For another break. See you in a moment.
Back to the project.
Australian officials in Afghanistan have confirmed reports an Aussie academic has been kidnapped in Kabul. He and an American colleague were reportedly abducted at gunpoint. The pair work at the American University of Afghanistan. And back to the US, and a beehive sale hasn't quite gone to plan at a Walmart in Oklahoma. A beekeeper was trying to sell 3 hives in the car park when 30,000 bees escaped, stinging several people. Beekeepers rushed to the area and somehow managed to round up most of the insects.
Reminds you of that famous song, Who Let the Bees Out? Buzz, 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 buzz.
I don't think so.
I challenged myself to do that joke. I thought, nah, yeah, I will.
Georgie Conklin will be joining the show on Friday, so she can
Now,
help
as technology evolves faster and faster, so does how we date. So is romance being left behind?
Online dating, the downside is some people just give it that one-off, no, cull, gone.
Suddenly I'm in this world of let's go on a date, and by the time I sit there to tell her about myself, she
I would have teared it up. No, you wouldn't. You would have gone home by yourself, cried and listened to Adele like usual.
OK, so you've managed to get yourself a date. Where do you take them?
I would say the best location for a date is on the back of a tandem bicycle, because you can talk, you're doing something exciting, you're out and about.
A restaurant, it's the perfect place, That's a shoe-in.
The man should always pay for dinner. You're a tight ass if you don't.
I think it's appropriate for the lady to pay for dinner occasionally, and I think it's appropriate for you to split it occasionally.
Make sure you pay. Even though when I did go on my first date with Alex, she paid. That was a good date.
What's the best date you've been on?
My best date ever was my first date with my husband.
I've had some really good dates on a tandem bicycle. Did I mention I own a tandem bicycle?
Just give us a minute. No good dates. If you're watching and I've dated you, I had a great time.
And the worst? Where they pull out a protein shake mid-date? What the?
It involved a fart. That's all I'm saying. And it wasn't me.
We should do a runner. She rolls her ankle in her heel as she's going to do the runner. And then I had to
apostrophe R-E means you are. Y-O-U-R means you're.
So do you have a dating deal breaker?
Picking a nose and not really worrying about it, that'd be a problem at the start of a relationship anyway.
Talking about wanting to have children, wanting to get married, completely incessantly talking about yourself, basically just being a wanker.
And finally, what do you look for in a date?
So long ago, I can't remember.
I just want someone that will tolerate me. Hi, have you got low self-esteem and low standards? Then I'm your man. Boy. Child. Oh, God.
I remember the worst date that I ever went on was I went to a ball for a first date with a guy. He rocked up an hour and a half late. He whistled the whole way there, didn't talk to me, and then went home with my friend. It was the worst night.
I think you dodged a bullet. What was he whistling?
I don't know. He just whistled the whole and turned the music up, and I was like, "Do we not want to talk?"
Was he whistling anything in particular?
No, not that I remember.
So just random noise just to fill the space?
Yeah.
Wow, that is
He
really
was a
terrible.
real keeper.
He's watching. He's watching.
Sucked in, mate. If you are, sucked in.
I remember the first date I actually had it in my own house. I set it up, all right? So my girlfriend came over, or the girl I was interested in.
Is this the
and
first
we had
ever?
First proper date, like, you know, and,
How old were you?
That's so cute.
I was at 27. No. Then I set it up. I cooked the stir fry. It was a bad stir fry.
The setting you want. Yeah. I have to ask you.
Don't point at me.
On your first date, did the gramophone work? We're going to go to a break. We'll be back soon. Coming up, once again, sexist schoolboys caught ranking their female peers on social media. And we speak to an award-winning journo about his investigation into Donald Trump. This is The Project. Welcome back to The Project.
If you have just joined us, here's what's making news this Monday, the 8th of August. And police still don't know what sparked a brutal attack in Sydney's southwest last night, which has left a 14-year-old boy critically injured. It started with a fight at Fairfield train station. It ended with the teenager being stabbed 8 times.
Robbery could have been a motive. We're just not sure. They might have had an argument about something else. We don't know. We've got to interview the victim, as many witnesses as we can.
It's the 10th stabbing since Friday. One of those was fatal, claiming the life of Aidan Smith. Jetstar says it's still investigating after pilots were forced to shut down an engine because of an oil warning light on a flight from Japan to the Gold Coast. The plane made an emergency landing in Guam, where it was grounded for 24 hours. Today, the passengers were just pleased they'd finally reached their destination.
In the first stages, it was just terrifying because all of us thought that we might have died. You know, we didn't know if you were being over dramatic or not, but it had gone through all of our minds.
A surprise gold in the shooting for Catherine Skinner, winning the in the 3-metre synchronised diving.
Pretty unreal. I think we're both just still in shock, not quite come to terms with it yet, but obviously very excited and very proud to be Australian and to win a medal for our country.
It's awesome stuff. And it turns out double dipping isn't just a social no-no, but a food safety issue.
That's like putting your whole mouth right in the dip.
Scientists have found that having a second crack at the salsa after taking a bite of your cracker results in 5 times more bacteria in the dip, or 1 million bacteria per mil of dip.
So that's why I eat all the dip. I neutralise the problem. It's not a problem for anyone. But what I do sometimes is if it's like a chip or something, I take dip, have a bite, turn the chip around, use the bit that I haven't bitten into.
Yeah,
that's all right.
No,
that's all right.
No, you can't. No, you can't double dip.
Thank you.
You can flip and dip.
Thank you, man.
No, you can't. Your grubby fingers go in the dip.
Germs in your...
I don't put my fingers in a dip. I'm not that clumsy, mate.
Okay, well, look, demonstrate for me. I just have some pre-prepared dip here
here we go.
Show me your dipping tip or whatever you call it.
That better be hummus. Yeah, right.
I've done a carrot for a start.
So, dip.
Yeah.
Dip one.
Yeah.
Now my mouth's gone to maybe there.
Yeah,
Fingers.
right.
Flip and dip. Flip it.
Dip. Boom.
Done. Flip and dip.
Not acceptable.
Flip and dip. Flip and dip. Hashtag flip and dip.
Yeah.
All right.
We might get over this bag bowl, bag
We
thing.
might just. Hey, exciting time.
Australia's newest citizens, young Madison Reguez, and we welcome her. She's one of a baby born once every 1 minute and 46 seconds, 25 at the Royal Women's Hospital here in Melbourne and 1,000 in Australia per day. But who's counting? The Australian Bureau of Statistics is counting.
Oh, he'd been rehearsing that one. He nailed that. Or as we say now, he flipped and dipped that one.
Did.
Yeah, well done. Well done.
Right, now to a story that seems to crop up way too often. Teenagers shaming each other on social media, dragging their school through the headlines. This time, it's Melbourne Grammar's turn.
This is grammar, boys! That means nothing! And I mean nothing under a 7!
This video surfaced over the weekend showing students rating potential partners for an upcoming formal.
What would you rate Mishka out of 10?
Couldn't possibly put a number on our friendship.
5? 1.5?
Yeah, like 1 maybe.
Concerns about the video were raised by a parent whose daughter's name was mentioned, forcing the school to act.
Schools are constantly trying to reframe these issues as being about social media and cyberbullying because they don't want to admit that they have a problem with sexism. I mean, no one wants to send their kid to a school that has a problem with sexism.
It's too much to expect a school to bring up your child. It's up to parents to supervise their children, to set appropriate role models, and most of all, to teach them about empathy.
The video has raised concerns about single-sex private schools.
You see these sorts of attitudes emerge. It's attitudes around male entitlement, and it's a real problem.
Melbourne Grammar are yet to confirm whether any of the Year 12 students will be reprimanded in any way, with Principal Roy Kelly stating, "This video contains references that I consider to be totally inconsistent with the values and standards of this school, its students and our community." The video is the latest in a series of social media scandals for elite private schools. 3 weeks ago, 2 students were expelled from Brighton Grammar after rating pictures of girls as young as 11 in a Slut of the Year competition. Last week, students on Sydney's Northern Beaches were interviewed by police for sharing explicit pictures of female students without their consent. So are single-sex private schools a breeding ground for sexism, or are these incidents just a reflection of a broader problem amongst young men?
Martin Heppel works with boys in private and state schools, teaching them respect and resilience. He joins us now. Martin, this story today has put the focus back onto private schools. Is that where it should be? Is there a difference with regard to sexism between private schools and state schools?
I don't think so. I think it's about, in every environment there's something different. And whether it's a state school or private school, I don't think that comes into it at all. It's, in this instance, people trying to, I suppose, possibly get a laugh, get a pat on the back from their peers without pausing and reflecting and saying, hang on a second, how's this impacted on someone else? In this case,
Good thing, so these types of attitudes can be discussed out in the open?
social media's it's got its pros and cons. It's fantastic in many ways. The one thing that's highlighting at the moment is that we have kids on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and they're defining their self-worth through how many hits they get or how many likes. We want positive feedback, so to speak. In certain circumstances, positive feedback is positive reinforcement. Hey, you're a funny bloke. That was really funny. That's awesome, mate. Therefore, once they do that, their behaviour's been reinforced to be something that's to be worthy, and therefore, when they think it's worthy, they'll then do it again. But no one is telling that it's not right. No one's telling them it's not, okay. What we'd love is for some of those students who are involved in those video clips to be standing there and saying, hey, fellas, this isn't right, this isn't on. I don't think we should be doing this. And more often than not, the kids, they won't listen to mum and dad. They probably won't listen to their teachers, but they will listen to their peers. What we need to do is, I suppose, build the capacity, build the skill set of their peers to have the morals and values embedded so they can make a decision, but then also have the strength of character to say, hey, this is not on.
Martin, I heard research the other day saying this generation is just less empathetic, and that has a lot to do with technology and not so much face-to-face contact. In all the work you're doing in schools, are you seeing that?
You go to a restaurant nowadays and you see a parent sitting down with their kid and they've got a babysitting tool in their handbag. As soon as that kid loses their mind, they pull out the babysitting things on their own terms. More often than not, teachers have empathy in spades. There's no way they can tell what the kids are on. More often than not, this is happening when the kids are not at school. If we're not giving time to our kids to talk with them about what they're doing, investigating, finding out what on earth they're using, how on earth are they going to then be able to register whether it's right or wrong?
Martin, thanks for joining us, mate.
You're welcome. Cheers.
I think that our thought here has to be with any girl named in that video. And I would just challenge those young boys to think how they would feel if they were talking about their own sister or about their own steady long-term girlfriend. And I think if they asked themselves that question, they would realise they've made a really bad error and a bad mistake. I know some boys from that school, and I reckon that that's what they should be doing, and they should be really trying to talk about this publicly and make something good out of what was a dreadful situation.
A full statement from Melbourne Grammar School has been provided to us. You can find it on our website.
Moving on now, and another day in Adelaide, another burst water main, and people who are at a complete loss as to how to fix the problem.
What would you like to see done about the drainage and the issue of continuous burst water mains?
Something to be done?
Let's keep it simple. Let's keep it simple. I like it. But this guy went above and beyond to look on the bright side.
Well, it's a bit like, yeah, you come out here and you're like living in Venice, aren't you?
Trump as a joke, but our next guest has made a string of startling allegations about the presidential candidate.
Meet Donald Trump, multi-billionaire businessman who says his knowledge, leadership experience and negotiating skills more than qualify him for the White House.
The people love me, and you know what? I've been very successful. Everybody loves me.
Now meet David K. Johnston, Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist who says Trump's a con man who's not a multi-billionaire, but probably is a tax cheat. Johnston's been investigating Trump for nearly 30 years, and his book, The Making of Donald Trump, makes disturbing reading. So exactly how rich is Donald Trump?
I'm really rich. I'll show you that in a second.
In 1990, when Trump boasted he was worth $3 billion, Johnston found records showing his net worth was minus $295 million. All right, what about his business success?
I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs, built great structures. I've had tremendous success.
Johnston says it's built on a huge inheritance and a long history of not paying contractors, dodging loan repayments, and a strong association with organised crime. But at least Trump's a good guy, right?
I'm a better person than the people I'm running against, that I can tell you.
According to Johnston, Donald hasn't donated $1 to his own charity foundation in 10 years. And there was the time he cut off medical benefits to his own nephew's seriously ill son.
Well, David,
Well, let me go back a little in history. Donald Trump's father, Fred Trump, had a business partner named Willie Tomasello, who the New York State Organized Crime Task Force and other law enforcement reports show was a front for the Gambino and Genovese crime families. Those are the two biggest of the 5 major organized crime families in New York. Donald has done business with people like this throughout his career. He has in recent years spent a great deal of time with the son of the reputed boss of the Russian mob in New York. And we don't know what his relationships are, but we do know that he has this long-standing involvement with numerous lawsuits alleging civil frauds in America with this guy, Felix Sater, whose father reputedly heads the Russian mob in New York City.
I can't help but thinking you may have your own lawsuits coming your way.
Donald actually called me at home in April to tell me when I was working on a magazine article about him that, you know, if I don't like what you write, I'm going to sue you. Okay, he's going to sue me.
Hey, do you think Donald would be surprised at how far he has gotten with his presidential race?
Oh, no. Donald has talked about running for president since 1985. And you have to understand that in Donald's own mind, he's the greatest person who's ever lived. He's better than all of you. And if you don't understand that, he has a word for you. Loser.
Donald in any way, but I'm just asking the question, is there a chance that the good stuff he does, the donating to charity and the helping sick kids, doesn't make the news? I mean, does he have any redeeming qualities that maybe we're just not hearing a lot of?
I spent a lot of time trying to figure out the positive things I could say about what would make Donald a good president, and I got to tell you, couldn't come up with a single one.
So, David, just finally, what's one thing you would like voters to know before Election Day?
I think voters need to appreciate that Donald Trump has no capacity whatsoever to accomplish anything. He doesn't know anything. And in the book, I show examples of where he's asked questions under oath and his answers are gibberish. These are questions that my law and graduate business students could answer like this, and Donald doesn't know them. He doesn't know anything.
It's a shame our viewers at home aren't the ones voting, David.
Yes.
It's been a pleasure chatting to you tonight. Your book, The Making of Donald Trump, is out now. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Was it just me, or did you get the feeling he wasn't a fan?
Yeah, I think underneath it all, he hates him. Yeah, we're going to go to a break. Back soon.
Coming up, it's a condition that's well known but often misunderstood. So what's it really like living with OCD?
It's kind of like sitting for an exam, I guess. It's the same feeling I get when I'm about to pass or fail something, and I get anxious.
You're watching The Project.
Now, from obsessive hand washing to unusual compulsions, what's it really like to live with OCD?
My hands, they used to bleed, like, at school, and people would be like, what is wrong with your hands? And, like, I couldn't tell them.
I used to be really embarrassed about it, and I used to try and keep it secret because I didn't want people to think I was crazy.
Have you ever touched wood for good luck or avoided stepping on a crack? Well, imagine if stepping on that crack caused a panic attack, or if you truly believed something terrible would happen if you didn't knock on wood. That's kind of what it's like to have obsessive compulsive disorder.
I've always thought of it as like, just in case. Like, I'll check the door multiple times even though I know it's locked, and then I'll get to the, train stop and my brain will go, did you lock the door? And I'm like, yes. And it goes, are you sure? And I'm like, ugh. So you gotta go back.
People go, oh, I'm so OCD, but they don't realise, like, they're not obsessive over it just if they want something clean. Like, I used to wash my hands about 30 times a day.
OCD is an anxiety disorder that causes irrational obsessive thoughts that people feel they can get rid of by going through certain rituals or compulsions.
If I don't follow through on a behaviour, it's I don't know, it's kind of like sitting for an exam, I guess. It's the same feeling I get when I'm about to pass or fail something. And
I moved on to light switches, turning them on and off, and it would drive you nuts. It really would. It would drive you nuts.
Damien Leith has struggled with OCD since he was a kid, when he would wash his hands 100 times a day. As the Australian Idol winner got older, he became so embarrassed about his habits that they developed into more mental urges that were easier to hide.
You could go out the front door, come back, and before you know you've just done it 3 times. There's a kind of a mental, it's like a mental note that goes, okay, well, I did it 3 times, actually, I want to get that up to 5,
It used to take me hours to do the washing up. I couldn't touch dishwasher tablets because they had caustic soap in them. So then I was convinced I was going to poison my family.
When she was in her late teens, Mickey's OCD got so bad that she irrationally believed her obsessive thoughts could harm her loved ones.
I was convinced that I was a murderer. If I bumped into somebody, I was convinced I'd killed them. And that's when my contamination fears came in. I'd wake up terrified because I couldn't even leave my room without convincing myself that I had harmed someone.
The 20-year-old would go through litres of soap and showered for hours each day. By the time she was in her late teens, Mickey's thoughts were so bad that she couldn't go to school, even though she didn't feel safe at home.
They'd catch me in the hallway, at 3 in the morning, and I was opening and closing. that you can't stop yourself. It's just terrifying.
It's among the top 10 of all medical disorders in terms of disability. So it counts for a lot of unemployment in our community and certainly a lot of distress and disability.
3 in every 100 people will develop OCD at some stage in their life. There's no cure, but the disorder can be treated effectively enough that sufferers can lead a pretty normal life.
With a psychological approach, people are asked to face their fears. We call that exposure, where people actually have to touch something that they deem as contaminated and then deal with that anxiety. And that's got a lot of evidence backing that. It's an effective treatment.
Yeah, it's been really hard, and I think I only realise how hard it is when I think about it. But I have a full-time job and I have really great friends, and I guess it makes you realise how strong you are.
I think the biggest thing for me was getting involved in music and the arts. Just really focused my thoughts on something very specific and completely distracted me.
I can check my cupboard for murderers, which is really ridiculous that a murderer would just be sitting there hiding. Like, it's just, they're just so silly. So I try and laugh at them. Because I don't know any other way to... That's how I deal with most of my issues, is just try and laugh and talk about it on stage.
I've really tried. I realise I don't think until you spend time with someone and see those daily rituals and, you know, understand what's going through their mind, you can appreciate just how it limits what, you know, your approach to life.
I mean, I've known Luke now for quite a few years, and it's been really inspiring to see how he's dealt with it, and really interesting. I think he's like opened a little door into his own life, been really honest with his OCD on stage, and I think he's helped a lot of people understand it.
What impact has him doing it on stage had for him?
I mean, I wouldn't want to answer for him, but I think it's helped. I think he, I think he kind of feels like it's less of a dirty secret, if you know what I mean. And I can only imagine it's a little bit of a burden. He still lives with it. I'm not sure if it's ever going to go away.
He's explained how it's a burden.
Yeah.
And it's, when he talks about it, it's so incredibly funny. I mean, it's his language, but it is. It's brilliant. He's just an absolute champion. Anyway, don't go away. We're going to take a break, but after the break, Hamish and Andy.
Welcome back to the show.
Well, Olympic champion Mac Horton may have won gold at the weekend, but it's been revealed before he left for Rio, he took on Hamish and Andy's fair and reasonable challenge. The Olympic star agreed to swim 400 metres, while Hamish and Andy swam a 300-metre relay, with Andy swimming 100 metres, Hamish swimming 100 with fins on, before Andy swam the final 100 in a thrilling finish.
All right, boys, good luck. Good luck, Ando.
Take your marks.
They're off. Both got away to a good start. Max now leading by almost. Don't worry, Ando. Should be able to make up some time here with a quick tumble turn. I've seen him on TV. Yeah! Beat me! Swimming so fast, I lost my goggles. He's only got 10 metres to go. Max coming home to get it. This is crazy. I don't believe it. I don't believe it by 3 seconds.
Yes, a 3-second win after getting a 100-metre head start and using fins as well as illegal race suits.
God, we're just the greatest. Feels good.
Brave performance. And Australia's latest swimming champions, Hamish and Andy, join us now.
Hey guys. Wow, I guess we are, aren't we? I mean, if you beat the reigning gold medalist, I suppose you get the gold medal.
Oh, yeah, completely. You've been an Olympic champion in a fair and reasonable challenge, can I add?
We believe so.
How do you feel about that performance?
It just feels right to, as soon as someone gets Olympic gold, to show a video of you beating them.
Yeah. I think it's the right thing to do and a gracious thing for us to do, riding off the back of Mac's success over in Rio. I would like to state, it wasn't about winning for us at any stage. For me, I personally swam a PB. I've never done 100 metres in a row. So all I wanted to do was know that I could make the distance, and beating the gold medalist.
Swam 100 metres in a row without flippers.
Haven't done it flipless, as they say in the Olympics, but I'm looking forward to one day.
think swimmers of our level are picking up on the nuances of having the water glide a little bit better across our bodies.
I still prefer the flippers if I have to choose one of the advantages.
But the ending was thrilling, and particularly Andy, you barely moving, and Mac just mowing you down. Could you feel his rushing presence at that point?
I could, because I saw, when I was going back up, I thought we had it won, and he flew past me. The chop in my face of his wake, I was like, oh gosh, he might come. And then I
almost was going to water ski off his wake.
And at one point, I think Hamish was going for the giant stick to pull me out. So that was when things were getting bad. But yeah, look, obviously I dug deep.
You did. What a hero.
Music kicked in, and
so
we got him.
I think what we learnt was, if you train your whole life to be good at swimming, you're actually very good. You can get quite good, and actually prove that.
Mac won his race, boys, by a fingernail. Is that something you guys passed on to him? I know you guys love the entertainment, you love the drama.
Look, it was about that close, wasn't it? And watching Mac win his final the other night, knowing that we had this footage in the can, we couldn't help but think he'd learn a few things in our race. And I don't know if people are going to start calling us the Edge or the Difference or any other kind of cool nickname, but we welcome them all.
Well, he actually won a gold medal, and he's got a gold medal in sledging after he had a crack at the Chinese swimmer. Did you boys teach him that?
Well, I mean,
it's funny you say that though, Pricey, because
that Mac is extremely passionate
He likes rules.
about racing within the rules that FINA's set out. Now, I haven't read the book, but I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to shave 100 metres off, nor are you allowed to wear flippers.
Was he engaging in sledging when you guys competed against him?
No, he laughed at us a lot.
Yeah, he laughed. There was a different form of sledging. It was more patronising giggles at us.
Yeah, you have to earn the right to be sledged by Mac, and we haven't earned that yet.
So who are you going up against next? Who's next on the chopping block?
I think we've got our...
With Letitia Scanlon next?
Letitia Scanlon, yes.
Trap shooter last night. She came 5th in the trap shooting.
Made the final.
And we have another fair and reasonable challenge against her. I didn't wear flippers this time. I thought it was that was too much of an advantage. But we needed to negotiate on how many clay targets we thought we'd get. And again, if you enjoy seeing athletes laugh in our face at the thought of us doing their sport, it makes for wonderful footage.
I feel like you boys and guns is like a dangerous proposition.
That was one of her requests too, that we're only allowed to just throw hammers at the clay targets.
We've got that. We've got Brooke Stratton.